It should be taken down. Christopher Columbus stole the land from the people that were here, committed genocide against the Native Americans, created a lot of chaos and issues. He's not somebody that we look up to. He's not somebody that's celebrated, and he is somebody that should not be taught at school in terms of as a hero, but he should be taught as for who he is and what he has done to the people that were here. So some people might view him as a hero, but we don't see him as a hero, and his statues need to go. We don't approve of him, and Native Americans don't need to walk around in public and see this man that has caused damage to all of their ancestors every single day.
There's a holiday for Columbus in America, Zaid Jilani, and it's a bit of a nod to the Italian-American community as well. Again, the past represents different things for different people.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think this brings up the issue of viewing the history as largely through the lens of individuals rather than through lessons. I don't think we're talking about taking any of these people from the past, cloning them and making them our leaders, right? Whether it be Christopher Columbus or Winston Churchill or anyone else who's problematic. I think it's largely about what we would learn. I mean, we may be able to learn that Columbus was able to be a great explorer, but also that he was involved in, for instance, slavery and colonialism. As were basically everyone back then, including Native Americans, were involved in conquest and colonialism and slavery. I think that we need to look less as history as a matter of venerating people and more as a matter of learning from it. And I think, if we really want to help Native Americans, we should think about the super high suicide rates, alcoholism, depression, public safety. We need to be investing much more resources into the Native American community. Those tangible resources will do more than knocking down 1 million statues. Of course, I think every community should have a right to make that decision for themselves about statues, about names, about so on and so forth. I think that's a democratic process, and perceptions do change. So maybe it is appropriate to make those changes. But I would just argue that the structural change is much more important than the symbolic change. And that can really, really do a lot to help people and change their lives. But I understand why people take out their frustrations on names and statues in the absence of these structural changes we need.
Aaron Thompson, you agree?
I agree that there should be a structural change. However, how do you feel if we had statue of Hitler in all public places? Do you think that would be an okay thing? Because that's the same thing that we're saying about Columbus. That's what he's done. And in order for us to change the system and for structural change to happen, we must implement it to the school, like into the textbook, into the history that we're teaching kids from a young age. I went to high school in America, in Minnesota, and I didn't learn anything other than Columbus found America and he was the hero and he's the founder of America. That's not what this story is. That's not history. That's not what that's what's being taught, and we need to change that.
What we're also seeing is that passions are really running high. We saw in London far-right militants over the weekend. There was violence in the UK capital. They claimed they were there to protect a statue of Churchill, which had been defaced in Parliament Square. And even more worrying, we saw in New Mexico on Monday, a protester against a statue of a conquistador who'd been a governor there before it was American New Mexico, who was shot by far-right militiamen. It's kind of hard to understand. Ana Lucia Arroyo, what's going on?
Yeah, the same, indeed, the same, how can I say, the same trend that led to the creation of these monuments in particular moments is the trend that is now leading to remove these monuments. And as these monuments, they are in many ways the expression of what you call public memory, then the ways particular groups embrace the past and engage with it now in the present. The same way that we have people who think and with reason that Columbus was a colonizer that inaugurated the genocide of the indigenous populations and then led to the beginning of the Atlantic slave trade to the Americas. There are individuals who today appropriate these symbols as theirs, even if they have no connection with these particular individuals, and they act in violent ways as well to protect these symbols, This is what we have been seeing here in the United States with the Confederate statues, with individuals who are armed and so on. Then these battles that you are seeing in the public squares are the expressions of these battles of public memory. They are not about the past. They are about the present. And in the present, these far-right groups, they don't want to see their symbols removed from the public space. Let's take the example of Columbus. These individuals connecting themselves as Italians because Columbus was Italian. There was not even in Italy at the time when Columbus left to the Americas. Then this is a sort of reinterpretation of the past that is based only on present day views that these groups are in many ways reconstructing.